Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. Now, this video is a few days late because, well, I didn't see this article quite until the other day. And why? So, this was published on Le 21. It was shared by Dragonlance Nexus, another Dragonlance channel. They mostly do campaigns and whatnot on YouTube. So if you enjoy that sort of thing, go check it out. A few days ago, we saw the latest entry in the Dragonlance series come to light as the continues as the con- I'm not the best with grammar. I'm middling at best. Et je suis français, and I'm French, and even I can tell this sentence. Like, who's writing this? First freaking sentence. Gavin Sheehan. Here's a tip. Heaven knows I've done this because, I got scolded for my grammar a few days ago, so I figured found myself in for an extra grammar course. Go do that. Jeez. As they continue the Dungeons and Dragons adventure from the classic long-running series. This is this article. Alrighty. The latest tale, Dragons of Fate, serves as the second book in a trilogy, taking the franchise in an interesting direction. Yeah, if by interesting you mean bad, because just this more time travel nonsense. And I say bad because leave Huma and Magus alone. But I'll be getting a copy of this book soon, so I'll give a review of it soon enough. As they travel back to the Third Dragon War, we got a chance to briefly chat with the authors Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman about the book in the latest trilogy. There they are with Dragons of Deceit. Good for them. Hey, Margaret and Tracy. First off, how have you both been doing this year? I think I'm doing well. When I have the time to think, I've been working primarily 3 jobs. This wonderful series with Margaret, of course, but also finishing up a successful Kickstarter and working on a remarkable secret project. Oh, well, good for him. It's been a very busy time for me. I'll turn 68 this year, but I don't think retirement is an option anytime in my foreseeable future. Well, good for him. Margaret, fine, thanks. Aside from what we're talking about today, what have you both been up to as of late? Well, I've been working overtime to get our Sky Raiders of Abarax 5th edition setting finished and to the printer. The first book is about out of layout, but Laura and I are pressing to get the second book finished by September. That has been far more work than I anticipated. I've also been working since Janvier on a remarkable project titled Relics Untold with Loot Studios in Brazil. I've been working with their talented creatives on a world for their fantastic upcoming miniature game. I'm working on a new Dragonlance book series featuring a new character we introduced in Dragons of Fate named Alice Raniker, who is an artificier. Sounds like Hickman is far busier and is taking on a lot of projects. Should be interesting. Getting to the subject at hand, what originally inspired the two of you to start working on Dragonlance again after a decade without any new novels? Dragonlance has never been far from our hearts or our thoughts. It was in some ways the alignment of circumstances that allowed us the path to return to the world and walk down a new road with our reader friends. I want to explore new themes and ideas that we didn't explore in previous novels. Dragonlance is a huge and complex world, and as yet we've seen very little of it. Yeah, but the new themes that I saw in Dragons of Deceit were middling at best. The books, in hindsight, has serious problems with it. And not least of which is the ending, because much as I love Stern and embrace them, this is not how I think that they should do things. I would rather they retrace the original Chronicles with a few key differences due to time travel and whatnot. This is me in spite of hating time travel. Of me hating time travel. But to retread Legend of Huma, which is a perfect book for the most part as far as fantasy goes, I do not think is wise. And I actually hate it. And this is why I've been reluctant to pull the trigger on a Dragons of Fate book club. Although I'll be doing that down the road once Spring Dawning is finished and once we're done with our current long-running Dragon Hour streams and some of the other streams I have to chop up for later this week and next week. But anyways, our first event for the release of the book was the unboxing event at the Gen Con convention in Indianapolis, Indiana, last year. Everyone who attended received a copy of the handbook, hardback book, and a commemorative pin. The room was filled to overflowing with Dragonlance readers. Oh, that's good. It was special for Margaret and me because the first Dragonlance novel, Autumn Twilight, made its premiere at the same convention all those decades ago. Well, that's good for them. Sharing that with our fans was a special moment for us both. We always enjoy, this is Waste now, working together, and have since 1983. Although now, since we live so far apart, it's mostly by email. The fans are what make Dragonlance. Yep. On that last point, I mean, yep. At what point did you both decide that book would be a part of a trilogy? Like, did you go on into it thinking, okay, they obviously did plan for it to be a trilogy. That's such a stupid question. Dragonlance always does trilogies. There's only a few cases where they don't. This is like asking, when you went outside, did you intend to breathe fresh air? Well, anyways, why not bring on a guy who... anyways, I shouldn't bash him. We blame Tolkien. He wrote this enormous book, The Lord of the Rings. I don't think Gavin Sheehan is familiar with it. I know I'm bashing him there, but it's just... what a question to ask. And the publisher probably said, we can't publish this block of paper. You have to break it up into 3 separate books or we'll lose money just printing it. Yeah, something like that did happen with Tolkien. Thus was born the fantasy trilogy that doomed fantasy writers like Margaret and myself to writing epics in 3 parts. Yeah, it's also easier, like, when I was writing my Scottish stories, which I wanted to write it all as one big block. That's how I intended it and envisioned it. But the trouble is that one of my friends who acts as a quasi literary advisor in sorts, who's more familiar with the industry, told me, break it up because they're not going to do just one big block until you have all 3 released. Then they do a commemorative collected edition. So nobody's going to... And besides, it'll take possibly years to write this and whatnot. So you break it up, finish what you can, let's say in volumes, like the first bit. That's 1 volume, and you get that out of the way and published so that it could help finance the next 2 and whatnot. And then, the profits from the 3 can be used to tide you over until the collected edition and whatnot. So it's a matter of convenience for everyone involved. And you can't really blame the publishers at the time. They had good reason to think this way. But Tolkien never regarded Lord of the Rings as a trilogy. For him, it was always just 1 book. So, yeah. Personally, I just think we like to savor long journeys with interesting friends, no matter how perilous the way. Yeah. Good answer, Tracy Hickman. I'm really liking his answers. We always do a synopsis of the complete 3-book series, so we know where we're going. Smart. We may take some detours along the way, but we end up where we need to be. Sound policy. How did the inspiration come about for the storyline happening in Dragons of Fate? We wanted to tell a story that gave us a look at what the world might have looked like if the past had taken a different road. Certainly, Destina's journey is one not just of the road not taken, but of the consequences of those diverging roads. Destina is a character who is outside of her own time, let alone others. Her journey parallels the journey of the world. I guess this might be a spoiler, but I've always been fascinated by the character of Magius. That's Margaret Weis. Okay. Yeah, but you butchered him in the first book. Like, like the way he's presented in that flashback scene where he's obsessing about Huma's sister, whom never existed previously, is dumb. It just deconstructs the entire character, because Magius is a man who has struggled with the fact that he is doomed to die. He knows he will die. And yet, he is bound by love for Huma. He knows he will die for Huma, but he is afraid to die. And then when the time comes, it's a question of which will win out. His love for his surrogate brother, his sworn brother in some ways, or his self-love. Well, his love for another wins out. And it's one of the most beautiful stories of Dragonlance. So that's why I think leave it alone. It's such a beautiful, beautiful story. What's the process been like between you both when working on this new series? Our process was set long ago. We're comfortable writing together both of our division of responsibilities and our common ground. As I said above, lots of emails. Yeah. I've read interviews with other authors in the past who do trilogies that sometimes it's a struggle to make sure that the middle book can stand on its own while making sure it's part of a bigger picture. Any issue with you for during this book, or did you find that relatively easy to pull off? Our second books in series tend to be very strong. I think we both have a very strong sense of the story arc, both in terms of the individual books in a trilogy. Reading faster than I'm thinking. This time it's on me. As well as the trilogy as a whole. I take a whole lot of work to make that happen, but we both feel it is essential to the strength of the entire holistic story. Yeah, their middle volumes have always been really strong. I think with our books, the middle books have always been strong. That was particularly true of Dragons of Winter Night. Oh, yeah. Check out our reviews of it. It is a fantastic book. Read it, and then read it again. Dragons of Fate can definitely hold its own. Of that, I doubt. Now that it's nearing being published, what are your thoughts on Dragons of Fate as a whole? I personally am so grateful to Margaret for making it possible for us to all take this journey together one more time. I love this book, one of my favorite Dragonlance books ever. Without giving too much away, what's the progress on Dragons of Eternity? That's the new title. Okay. We can say that the book is finished and at the publishers. Be assured that the trilogy is properly complete, and what a powerful ending it will be. Oh boy. They've said this before, and second generation, for example, is not. And it needed the War of Souls to clean that up. That mess. And I know if you enjoy second generation, enjoy it away. I didn't. It was just the element of chaos coming in that's like, come on, just let the storylines play out without, anyways, that's just me. And there's also the way Tanis died I didn't like. I'm still sore about that. We can say that the book is finished and at the publishers. We have finished the book and we're waiting on editorial. No official pub date yet. Well, let's hope editorial's better this time around. Are there any other projects you have in the works that will be happening over the rest of 2023? I've been trying to tap the brakes a little on my work. I don't think I'll ever retire in the traditional sense, but I don't think I have to work like I was still in my 20s either. Fair enough. Nothing for me as of this year, although I'm working on future projects. Well, good for them. I'm actually going to say this is a bland interview. um, we didn't really get any info. Like, I'd like a little more info on Dragons of Fate, and a little more info on. Well, that was already came out, so that goes without saying. But you could at least poke a little more into Dragons of Eternity, and I guess I just don't care for spoiler-free interviews. Like ask them about creative decisions that they made along the way. Ask them about why they took characters in certain directions, why they took the timeline in a certain direction, and you can poke into the lore a little, and this will get fans excited, and also show us insight into the creative process with these two in a different way. But we got this interview, which I'm not terribly fond of, and the first sentence is just anyways, because just where is it? This part. What a mess. What a mess. Actually, let's see if there's any comments. I sometimes like to check these out. Nope. Okay. So on that note, yeah, it is lovely art, let's be honest. But yeah, let's go. At least Sturm's looking nice here. He's looking great. I'm not sure about Raceland. Destina looks fine. Trouble is, I just have my doubts about this book. But tell me what you all think, and don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button, as though you were Huma taking out Takesis for the final time. Especially as we're almost at 1,300 subs, and we could really use your help getting there.